Hello everyone, today I'll be talking about how to install GitHub client in your Mac and how to use that. Before we begin the video, please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. For the first step, let's create a repository on the github.com. If you already have an account, please use that. If it's not, there is already a video I have it. Please follow that to create an account. Yeah, so this is where you can to specify what is the repository name on it. So let's put a name up here. It's web app service API, and also you can put some descriptions to specify what is this repository mean to you. There are a couple of options up here. If you want to, you can create it as a public or you can create it as a private. So then let's create this repository. Once you create the repository, you can see a bunch of commands on the browser. So these are the commands you can use it to create your initial check-ins. And this is the repo name. We will be running all these commands in the terminal pretty soon, and I will show you how to create the first commit in a couple of minutes. We would like to create an SSH key on your local machine, and that has to be connected with your GitHub account. For that, this is the place you need to go to the settings, and then you will see an SSH key sections up here, and this is where you need to add your SSH key. So how do we create the SSH key? That's I'm going to explain it in a second. And once you have the SSH key, make sure that you need to add the public key up here on the GitHub. So I'll walk you through that in a second. So let's create an SSH key right now. For creation of the SSH key, you need to create you need to open a item or the terminal and run this command. I'll be putting all these commands and details on the descriptions. In case if you have any confusions, please use that. If you want, you can create a passphrase. If it's not, I'm just going to make that as a blank right now. Once you created it, you can see there's a two key has been created. One is a pub key and another one is a private key. The one which doesn't have any extension, that's a private key. You need to evaluate that. And also if you guys want to, you can add that into your keychain. And also right before that, we need to just open this config file. If you have already available, you can modify that. If it's not, I would recommend to create it. Copy paste this content, make sure that ID name is matching it. Once you have it, that's saved it. Now I'm going to add this also to my keychain, so that's the way it will be available on my keychain as well. So this is the command to add to the keychain, Apple keychain. Once you enter it, this has been created and added to the keychain successfully. So now there is a command called pbcopy. In case if it's not, then you can open this file also and copy manually. So now the file has been copied. Make sure it is a public key has been copied. You can put a title up here. I'm just going to put Akamo's personal Mac, something like that. So that's where I know in the future I may have different keys. Also there is an extra line up here. If you notice that the line I had deleted it. You need to enter your GitHub password. So any modifications you have to do it on the settings, you need to enter the password again, just to make sure that it's a real account. So we added the SSH key right now. So that means your local machine can communicate directly to the GitHub. So I'm going to go to the project folder. I'm going to do a checkout of this code. I'm just going to create a repository folder on my Mac machine. And when you go to the repo, and then you can see you can clone that repo to your local machine. Right? Going to click on the button there to copy the code, copy the URL. I'm sorry. Paste it up here. Git clone. That's a command you to do it. This is basically manually I'm cloning it using the command lines, but once we have it working, I will show you that using by the GitHub client. That's the second part. So I'm going to inside the repository. The repository is right now blank. It doesn't have anything. If you see that there is an ls, it doesn't have anything. Follow these commands and that will basically create a readme.file, and then you need to initialize the repo, and then you can add these are a bunch of the git command. Just follow these commands. So basically what that will do is, like, it will create a readme file on your local machine, add it to your GitHub local repository, and then doing a commit, and then pushing this directly to the branch main. In a normal development world, pushing directly to the main branch is not something which is not a best practice. So normally you create a branch, and then you push to a specific branch and create a PR off of it, and then basically you push to that. So now I pushed everything into the remote repo, and you can see that readme file, what I did is went through it. So if you see that, that's echo statement. It's basically created a readme file on my repo. That's my first initial check-in. Now let's go and download the GitHub Desktop client. Okay, you can go to GitHub Desktop and then click on that, and that will download the version for Mac. Once you downloaded it, it's pretty fast. Once you downloaded it, just open that file. Okay, once you open the file, you will see there is two buttons, which is sign into github.com or sign into GitHub Enterprise version. Some companies has Enterprise version is already in-house. So I click on the sign up normal one. That will take me to the browser, and then it will show you, because my browser is already logged in with my GitHub account, it will show you to authorize the desktop. Click on that. Once you click on that, it will open up again back to the GitHub Desktop. Click on approve, and you will see what are the repos already under this one on it. So right now there is only one repo under my GitHub account. So you will see that repo. You can clone this through the GitHub Desktop client. But before that, what I'm going to do is, like, I'm going to remove what I manually cloned it. Now you can see that there is no folder or content inside the repository folder. Now what we can do is, like, use the GitHub Desktop client to down or clone the repo to your local machine. You can select that and then clone the repository, and you need to enter the path. So this is the folder path. It's going to be downloaded it or cloned the repo to the folder. So it's going to be on this folder. I'm going to select it and then click on the clone. So that is basically cloning the repo. It's already done. So it's a small repo. Sometimes, the repo is, if that repo has like a lot of content, it might take more time, but for this time it was pretty fast. And then you can see the first commit, which is we done it through the manual, through the command line. So now if you want to how to create a branch, you can enter a name up here. That's your branch name. Sometimes people will be creating, or the developers will be creating the branch name with the ticket number or the Jira ticket number. If you follow Agile and then ticket tracking system, be creating that with that. For now, I'll just put a default branch. So I'm going to open this content in an Atom editor. This is one of the nice editor I've been using it. This has like a lot of features on it and plugins available. But this is something people can do it or install it on a local machine to use it. So once you install it, this is the way Atom looks like, and you can add the whole folder into Atom. So Atom is already identified that this is a GitHub repo code. As soon as I make some changes, it will show you the color changes in the left side. So you can see the color change has been changed now. So that means like something is already modified, which is an untracked change on your local machine. So once you go to the GitHub client, you'll see that the changes has been already added, but it's not committed to the repo right now. But let's do the commit right now. Committed it right now. So that doesn't mean that when you commit, doesn't mean that if you know the GitHub, you know that Once you committed, it doesn't should be available on the remote repository. Once it goes to the commit on your local repository, you need to do a push to publish to the remote repository. Once you publish to remote repository, you can see the changes up here, update readme, and also you can see the new branches which we created. And there's a command up here, your main branch is not protected. You can protect your main branch by clicking on this. So normally companies will do that will say that you can check into your main branch by only by the pull request by developers. This will be a little safe process or standard process which is followed on the company. And also there will be code owners will be added to the repository. Those are the only people who's allowed to approve the PR and merge the code into the repository. For now, I think whatever the free version I'm using, it maybe it doesn't have all the features. I'm looking at it. Maybe I won't be able to protect the branches at this point, but there will be an options up here. Mostly this has been already configured, or if you are configuring your own GitHub repo, make sure that you're adding all these protections into your main branch. Okay, so right now, if I want to get these options, you need to have a GitHub team, which is an expensive one, or you need to have a GitHub Enterprise version, right? So for this, I'm not trying to move to GitHub Teams right now because that is an expensive one. So then this is the way you move from one organization to another one. For now, I'm not going to do it because that's an expensive account. But just keep in mind that there is an option to protect your branches like that. So now let's go back here and create the pull request. So this pull request says that it is this pull request meant that it has some changes on the update readme and it want to get merged to the main branch. Normally, if you have a senior engineers on your team, or the team members will be reviewing the PR by clicking on this, say, okay, yeah, looks like this changes looks cool, so let me approve this PR. Or maybe sometimes they'll request changes, or they'll just have some comments, and if it's not, maybe sometimes some people will approve it. Once you approve it, you can merge your pull request, and that pull request will goes to the main branch. Until that, the changes will be on your local branch or your own customized branch in the remote repository. So the best practice, sometimes people will be deleting that repository once it merges. Now if I go back here on the main, you can see the changes and there's an incoming change. Once I fetch from origin, that's where my local main repository will get updated. So once your local main is updated, this might be not normally best something which we do it, but if you want to update your readme branch, basically this is the way you do it. And you can see that your update branch or the feature branch and the main branch is on the same commit point. This is the way you use the GitHub client desktop on your local machine. And thanks for watching the video.